Hello my friends. My name is Bot Mathematician, and this is Holomancer.
And of course, I am the daring reporter Dora.
We are very glad to see you all again.
The year of the dragon is coming to the end, and it seems to us that now is a great time to take stock and identify the 5 achievements and 5 failures that have had the greatest impact on the game.
Before we begin, we want to say thanks to our first member, Bast the Kitty. Dear friend, a million thanks for your support. It is very important to us.
You too can become our patron. You will find more information in the description below the video.
So let's talk about the 5 major achievements of this year. The first important change was to the quest system. The developers made quests easier to complete and slightly increased their rewards. A majority of the time now you will be offered to play 3 games with any of 3 specific classes for 60 gold. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, you will still receive a reward.
Despite the fact that the income of players did not significantly change, quests have become much friendlier, especially for casual players who spend less time in the game. In the 4-month period between expansions, you will be able to get approximately 600 more gold. Isn't that what we wanted?
The second important change involves dungeon runs. The Dalaran heist and Tombs of Terror became the highlights of the year.
Starting from the Year of the Dragon, Adventures consists of 5 chapters, each with its own features and bosses. The first chapter is free, but the rest cost gold or money. You receive packs when you complete each chapter. In general, adventures have become much more interesting, diverse and fun. But most importantly, they do not affect the balance of the game. You are not forced to spend resources if you are not interested in solo content.
At the same time, we believe that the solo mode should continue to be developed next year, as there are still many things that could be improved.
The third feature of this year is the incredible variety we have seen in the metagame. Firstly, most new sets had a very large impact on deck building. The cards in the new sets also have very narrow applications, causing decks to become more diverse. Almost all of the new legendary cards of this year were used by players.
By the way, we made a separate video on this topic. In fact, we examined the influence of each set over the course of the entire year and determined which set has the greatest influence right now.
Secondly, the classic set finally received several new cards to replace the ones sent to the Hall of Fame.
Thirdly, the developers responded quite quickly to unhealthy situations in the game, and over the course of the year gave us 4 influential nerfs to the standard mode. Furthermore, in the period between the expansions of the year we received a variety of events that changed the metagame. First, some cards from Boomsday got buffed. Then some powerful cards were brought back from the wild. Finally, we got a new set of cards along with the last adventure of the year. Due to all of this, there are more cards than usual in the standard mode, so we have a variety of decks and a large selection of strategies to choose from.
Some important changes have also occurred involving the arena mode. Beginning in the Year of the Dragon, every 2 months there is a rotation in the arena. This simple change allows the arena to stay interesting, fresh and fun.
And last but not least, the achievement of the year is the release of Battlegrounds. We got perhaps one of the best chess battler yet. Battlegrounds is very simple and fun.
Hearthstone players have long needed a new game mode. The developers, as always, managed to surprise the community and actually create a new game within the game. Balance changes, rotation of heroes, and release of new cards are constantly happening in Battlegrounds, so the mode always remains fresh. Battlegrounds definitely found its audience, and was able to stop much of the decline in interest in Hearthstone. We will discuss this decline in more detail in the second part of the video.
Dear friends, it's your turn now to share your opinions.
It's time to identify this year's most important innovation in Hearthstone. What do you consider the most important? Changes to the quest system, a new form of dungeon run, unprecedented variety in the meta game, rotation of sets in the arena, or the Battlegrounds release? We created a YouTube poll. Please find the I button on the screen and vote.
In fact, you have a difficult choice. This year was truly special for Hearthstone thanks to the tremendous efforts of the developers. Perhaps this year can even be called the brightest in the history of the game. We believe the next year will be even better. Team 5, keep it up.
Unfortunately, achievements often come alongside failures. One without the other is nearly impossible. Here we have collected 5 of the most important failures of the year. In our opinion, these mistakes have had the most negative effect on the game.
The first failure is monetization. Over the course of this year, we have devoted a lot of effort to studying the game economy. We collected data on each award, event, quest, and even tried to calculate how much time it takes to create a complete collection of cards. On top of these things, we have offered up our idea of a new monetization system, something that was well received by our audience.
Hearthstone is fun and has a lot of variety, but variety this year was very expensive. A large collection of cards has become more relevant than ever due to the narrow application of many new cards.
The game was supposed to become more loyal to the players, but unfortunately the opposite has happened in some areas.
After the release of the Dalaran heist, we received additional sources of expenses. This in turn significantly reduced the amount of available free resources for the vast majority of players. According to our polls, this has led to a significant decrease in interest in Saviors of Uldum pre-orders and in the game as a whole, since players could not accrue enough resources. Blizzard did not stop there. After the third expansion of the year, we were all forced to purchase an adventure to get 35 completely new cards. Thus, our total amount of free resources has decreased significantly.
We respect the company's desire to make money, but the methods that the company has used this year are very frustrating for us.
The second flaw is the GALAKROND'S Awakening adventure. The main reason for this is not that it stole our gold, or rather not only that. It just seems to us that the adventure turned out to be boring. The finale of the adventure turned out to be more interesting than the rest chapters. In general, the audience also considers the finale much more interesting. Don't get me wrong, this is definitely not the worst linear adventure in the game's history, but we expected to see more new ideas. In my opinion, the League of Explorers and Karazhan remain the most interesting adventures.
What is your favorite adventure? Take part in our YouTube poll.
Next in line is storytelling. One of the main features of this year was the storyline, which carried through all of the expansions. We understand that a card game is not the best place for a serious plot, but we really wanted the developers to be more attentive to the stories of the characters.
The idea and main characters of this year are simply wonderful, but the plot is too arbitrary. If you have not seen trailers for each expansion, it will most likely be difficult for you to understand the motivations of the main characters. The plot of Adventures is also too conditional. In addition, we never found out Reno's secret. Why was he a dragon? It seems the only reason for this was because the community wanted him to be. What about George and Carl? What really happened to them? What did they do in the Ngoro crater? Unfortunately, the plot leaves too many questions unanswered.
In fact, we don't have a clear understanding as to how exactly this year's story ended, since at the end of the two plot options we saw a picture from the trailer. Blizzard, are you serious?
This is canon! I actually didn't really understand the Reno fight. It's like, why is Anduin here? But now I understand, we were just killing him.
The fourth drawback is this year's balance. In general, we are very pleased with the balance this year, but we had to add this, due to the number of players who consider the balance to be imperfect.
The only thing we want to blame the developers for is their very passive attitude towards wild mode.
And finally, perhaps the most important drawback is the loss of audience loyalty. This year, Hearthstone was at the epicenter of a political scandal.
Blizzard's sanctions against professional player Blitzchung for speaking out in support of Hong Kong's independence provoked a huge explosion in the media. The call for a boycott of Blizzard on Reddit has become the most popular and debated topic in the history of the game. Players deleted their accounts en masse, gave low ratings to the game in the App Store, and wrote offensive comments wherever they could.
We continue to believe that politics should not have a place in Hearthstone. In our opinion, the situation was very complicated and ambiguous. Blizzard made a huge mistake, but the community reaction confirms that players do not want to forgive Blizzard anymore.
Subsequently, Blizzard apologized. Eventually the community calmed down, and popular bloggers who called for a boycott now continue to play Hearthstone, but the game still has a low rating on the App Store. Hating Blizzard is becoming a trend. We are sure that this is not the last scandal. If Blizzard does not establish dialogue with the community, they may lose the last of their loyal players.
Dear friends, it is once again your turn to share your opinions. Which failure of the year do you consider most serious? Monetization, GALAKROND'S Awakening, balance, storytelling, or loss of community loyalty?
Now let's see how all these positive and negative things influenced the popularity of the game. As always, Twitch broadcasts are a good indicator of community interest.
On the screen, you can see the peaks of the spectator interest throughout the Year of the Raven. As always, rotation causes maximum viewer interest. And now let's add a graphic for the Year of the Dragon. As you can see, maximum interest again occurred after the rotation. Later, viewers seemed interested in watching gameplay of the Dalaran heist adventure.
Starting with Saviors of Uldum, all other add-ons no longer caused a stir among the players. Interest in the game steadily declined until the release of Battlegrounds. The new mode was able to stop the fall of interest and even slightly expand the audience of the game.
Here is another graph. This is the dynamics of Hearthstone's popularity in web searches over the past 2 years. As you can see, interest has declined significantly.
It is time for the final question. What happened with Hearthstone this year? Is the game slowly dying or rising? What do you think?
Despite such great efforts by the developers, interest in the game significantly decreased. Seemingly insignificant failures had much more influence than the serious achievements. We believe that the developers managed to stop the fall, and the new year will be decisive for the future fate of the game. Can Hearthstone rise from the ashes like a phoenix? We will find out soon.
Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for being with us.
And special thanks to Chris for text editing.
We will meet in new videos.
Good luck.